Welcome to Nirmaya Care, where health meets understanding. This video was originally published on nirmayacare.com. For an uncensored, ad-free version of this video and other health education content, visit nirmayacare.com.
You know, for any parent, there are few things more terrifying than watching your child have a seizure during a high fever. It's just pure fear. But what if we could take that fear and turn it into calm, clear understanding? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So let's start with that moment. It's a question that probably sends a chill right down your spine. Your little one is sick, they're hot with a fever, and then, out of nowhere, their body starts shaking. You feel helpless, and a million terrible thoughts just flash through your mind. What is actually going on in that moment?
To answer that, we've got to demystify the whole thing. So, first up, what even is a febrile seizure, and why on earth does it happen?
Okay, let's get this definition straight, because the facts here are incredibly reassuring. A febrile seizure is exactly what it sounds like. It's a seizure that's triggered by a fever. But here are the two most important things you need to hear. It is not epilepsy, and it does not cause long-term brain damage. It is a temporary event tied directly to that fever. And I know it can feel so incredibly isolating if this happens to your child, but I promise you, you are not alone. Not by a long shot. Somewhere between 2 and 5% of all young children will have one of these. It's actually a pretty common part of childhood, which is exactly why this information is so vital for all of us to have.
So the big question is, why? Why does this happen to some kids and not others? First off, it has absolutely nothing to do with anything you did wrong. It's just physiology. A young child's brain is still under construction, you know? Its wiring is just more sensitive, and a really fast spike in body temperature can kind of short-circuit the brain's electrical signals for a moment, and that's what triggers the seizure. As they get older, their brain matures, and that sensitivity just fades away.
It's also really helpful to know that there are two different types. The huge majority of them are what we call simple febrile seizures. These are the ones that are over pretty quick. They last less than 15 minutes, and they don't happen again within that same day. Complex seizures are much less common. They can last longer or happen more than once in a 24-hour period. Knowing the difference is really key info for your doctor.
So, what does this actually look like? Well, you might see their whole body go stiff or start shaking and jerking uncontrollably. They will lose consciousness, and you might see their eyes roll back. It is a frightening thing to witness, for sure, but just being able to recognize these signs as a febrile seizure is the very first step to you staying in control of the situation.
All right, now that you know what it is and what it looks like, let's build your action plan. This is your go-to guide for what to do in the moment and for what comes right after.
Okay, during the seizure itself, your one job is to keep your child safe. Step 1 is the hardest, but it is the most important. You have to try to stay calm. Your calm helps you think clearly. Step 2, clear away any hard or sharp objects nearby. Now for the really big do nots. Do not try to hold them down or stop their movements. And never, ever put anything in their mouth. That's an old myth, and it's actually really dangerous.
Once the shaking stops, the immediate crisis is over. Your child is probably going to be really tired and maybe a little confused. Your focus now shifts. First, you'll want to gently work on bringing that fever down. Then, keep a close eye on your child. And finally, contact your doctor. They're going to help you figure out what's causing the fever in the first place and give you the best advice for your kid.
After you've been through one of these, the big question that hangs in the air is always, is this going to happen again? So let's look at the long-term picture. What are the risks and what can you do to manage them?
So, there are a few things that can increase the chance of another one. If your child was really young, under 18 months, when they had the first one, that's a factor. Same goes if there's a family history of febrile seizures, or if the seizure was the very first sign that they were getting sick. Now, this doesn't guarantee it'll happen again, but it does help you and your doctor know what to keep an eye out for.
And this is a really important reality check. Because these seizures are tied to how a child's brain naturally reacts to a fever, you can't always 100% prevent them. It's just not possible. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean you're powerless. You can absolutely take steps to lower the risk.
So what does that look like in practice? Well, it starts with catching and treating a fever early. And besides medicine, things like lukewarm sponging can really help manage a temperature spike. And maybe most importantly, make sure everyone who cares for your child, grandparents, babysitters, daycare staff knows the plan. They need to know the do's and the don'ts, too.
So we've talked about the what, the why, and the what to do. Let's wrap this up with the most important part of all, the calm after the storm and the long-term outlook.
If you only take away one single thing today, let it be this. A febrile seizure is a temporary event. It's scary, absolutely, but it passes. It does not cause brain damage, it does not lead to developmental issues, and it does not mean your child has epilepsy. It's just a brief, intense storm with an overwhelmingly positive outlook. You know, there's a really great metaphor that just perfectly captures this experience. It says a febrile seizure is like a sudden summer storm. It's loud, it's frightening, it's completely unexpected. But the clouds pass, the sky clears, and the sun shines again, and everything is unchanged. And that really is the final lesson, isn't it? The storm leaves no scars. All it does is teach us how to be that calm anchor our kids need in that moment. By understanding what a febrile seizure is, and maybe more importantly, what it isn't, you are totally empowered to face this challenge not with fear, but with knowledge, with calm, and with confidence.